Hello, I'm Metal Bulletin editor Alex Harrison. Next week, the copper market is going to be meeting in Shanghai for Asia Copper Week, which is organised by Cesco and the Shanghai Futures Exchange. Obviously, one of the big items for discussion is going to be copper concentrates. I'm here with Mark Burton, who covers the copper market for us, to discuss that. Mark, what's the latest on the copper concentrates talks for 2014?
Well, ahead of the conference, we've heard that BHP has offered smelters in Japan $80.08 as treatment and refining charges for supply next year. That would be a $10.10 increase over terms agreed by Freeport that have set the benchmark for this year. But it's also significantly below the levels that smelters in both China and Japan are hoping to achieve, given that there's a lot more mine supply around.
Because what kind of numbers were the Chinese smelters indicating they would find acceptable?
Well, we hear that they're still looking for $100 plus. The Japanese smelters are rumoured to be looking for 95, so it's possible that we'll see a settlement with a Japanese smelter before agreements are struck with smelters in China.
And BHP seems to be taking a bit of a lead this year. What are people saying about that?
Well, in the past few years, Freeport has more traditionally moved first in setting benchmarks, and across BHP, it's moved away from benchmark pricing where it can. When we spoke to Freeport in LME Week in October, they said that they'd be willing to move quickly if they found that negotiations were moving towards the middle of smelters' expectations and their own. The fact that they haven't settled yet probably indicates that smelters haven't budged much.
Okay, thanks very much for that. And obviously, people are going to be talking about concentrates for next year. What about cathode?
Well, cathode will also be a very important talking point. We're likely to see Codelco's benchmark premium for Asia set during Cesco Week. When it set its premiums for Europe during LME Week, it offered $112, and at the time some said that was lower than it was hoping for. It was in competition with a premium of 105 offered by Arubis, which was significantly lower than some people were expecting. It's possible that they'll try to recoup some of that with their offer into the Asian market this year. Sources in the trade say that a settlement of 140 is likely.
Okay, thanks very much for that. And away from concentrates and cathode premiums, what else has been happening in the copper market this week?
Well, the copper price hasn't been moving much, but there has been a sharp move in EMED's share price after Trafigura announced that it had an option to acquire the mining rights to its flagship mine in Spain, the Rio Tinto mine, from which the mining group takes its name.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Mark. That's one that we've been watching closely at Metal Bulletin in recent years and will continue to watch. This is Mark Burton and Alex Harrison from Metal Bulletin in London, talking ahead of Asian Copper Week in Shanghai next week.